Hey folks, Tyler here with seawaywhiskywire. Well, June is upon us, and what is just around the corner? Father's Day. And what do you get for that father of yours that's tough to buy for, is into whiskey, just getting into whiskey, and you're not really too sure what to get them? Well, stick around. I got you covered. I got 6 categories to go through, 8 whiskeys to recommend, including a mystery pour that's in my glass tonight, and it might surprise you. So go watch the intro, come on back, and we're going to go through them together. Stick around, guys. Well, hey guys, thanks for coming back there after the intro. What do I got for you today? I've got 8 whiskey recommendations across 6 categories for Father's Day that I think, any dad's going to be glad to get if they're getting into scotch, if they're into bourbon, if they're into just getting into whiskey or whatnot. I think this is a great list, and we'll go through that in 6 sections there. But yeah, like I said, 8 whiskey recommendations. So the categories I've got are someone who's just getting into whiskey, so somebody who's new into it, doesn't really know what they like, and is trying to get into whiskey, so what you can buy a dad that's just getting into it. Second is going to be a bourbon recommendation for the bourbon fan. Then with third, I've got for the peated scotch fan, if your dad's a fan of peated scotch. I've also got fans of sherry scotch, because I'm a big sherry scotch guy, as you guys know, so why not make a recommendation about that. The 5th category is going to be whiskey on a budget. When everybody's tightening their pocketbooks a little bit, so I wanted to make sure that I was all inclusive and not just focusing on some more expensive items there. We got one to cover you in the budget category, and then for the experienced enthusiast, something different to give them. So without further ado, let's get into the list. And like I said, I got a mystery pour here, and I'll reveal that as we go through the list. So maybe you can think about what this is. Could it be the peated scotch? Could it be whiskey on a budget? Could it be a bourbon? You have to wait and find out. But without further ado, let's get on to category 1. So like I said, guys, category 1 is going to be someone who's just getting into whiskey, someone who's new to whiskey, a dad who, he likes whiskey, but, you kind of want to get them headed down the right path. I've got 2 recommendations for you. And the 2 recommendations I've got for you are the Aberlour 12-year-old single malt Scotch whiskey and the Glenmorangie 10-year-old single malt Scotch whiskey. The Aberlour 12-year-old comes in at $90 and at 40% ABV and matured in both ex-bourbon and ex-sherry cask maturation process. And it gets these wicked hints of vanilla and dark fruits and ex-sherry notes, as well as vanilla and spice from the ex-bourbon. It's a fabulous sipper, and it's not going to break the bank at $90, but the 40% ABV, and yeah, it's chill filtered and color added, but you know what? It's a classic, and it's one worth having on your bar, and one worth giving as a gift. And the second one is the Glenmorangie 10-year-old. I tote this one pretty highly already. Again, 40% ABV, chill filtered, and color added, but I mean, it's another classic. And the Glenmorangie comes in at $78, matured in ex-bourbon casks, and it offers a good range of flavors. Particularly the one I really like in it is not just the oak and the spice and all that, but there's a slight tropical note to it as well too. It's not my mystery pour, but it's definitely up there as a great starter. So yeah, someone who's just getting into scotch or just getting into whiskey and you're looking for a quick and easy recommendation that's not going to scare them away from it, you can't go wrong with the Glenmorangie 10-year-old or the Aberlour 12. Those are my recommendations for someone who's just getting into whiskey. All right, guys, category number 2 is for the bourbon fan. This is for a dad who's into bourbon, who likes to dabble in bourbon, has a bourbon collection, and enjoys those bourbon notes, that oak, that spice, and all that goes with it. So what am I going to recommend for the bourbon fan? I'm going to go a little bit a sidewall. I'm going to go with something that's fairly new to me, but something I'm really enjoying on my bar, and that is going to be the Yellowstone Select 93. And it's 93 proof, comes in at 46.5% ABV, and a price tag of about $70. This was actually something that was donated to the channel from Lux Row, so thanks again, Lux Row, for donating it. And I know it was a bottle that was given to the channel, but this is actually a really good bourbon. And I'm not a bourbon guy, guys, but I really enjoy this one, and I'll tell you why. It's a blend of 4-year-old and 7-year-old whiskeys from Limestone Branch Distillery in Lebanon, Kentucky. And it offers some lovely honey and vanilla notes, as well as a good amount of spice, but it's not overly sweet. And that usually is what turns me off of bourbon. And I think, it makes it more inclusive and makes it more kind of well-rounded as a bourbon. So it's a great pickup for the bourbon-loving dad. It's easy to find too. And at 70 bucks, again, it's pretty accessible. So my recommendation for you, for the dad who loves bourbon, is to go out and find yourself a bottle of Yellowstone Select 93. All right, guys, category number 3, and that is going to be for the peat-loving dad in your life, the father who loves peaty, smoky, Islay, all that goes with that. And, you know, I could have went with a bunch of different things. I could have went with the Ardbeg Uigeadail. I could have went with the Ardbeg Ano, which you guys know I'm really favorable about. You guys know, I could have went with the Kilchoman Sinnig. I did go with something from Ardbeg in this category, and I felt like I had to, because you know what? It's not only is it a great, well-rounded Scotch, it's a great classic Scotch and a great peated Scotch, and something that, I don't think it matters who you are. If you're a fan of peated whiskey, you're going to be glad to have this as a gift. And that, of course, is going to be the Ardbeg 10-year-old single malt Scotch whiskey. Ardbeg 10 is, again, it's a classic. It comes in with a price tag of about 120 bucks in Ontario. 46% ABV. And if you're looking to get something for someone who loves smoke and loves that pop, this is the one you got to go for. It's a pillar of Ardbeg. It's wonderfully smoky, yet a very fresh dram. You've got those campfire notes, yes, and you've got those ashy notes, yes, those creosote notes, but it's not a very dirty peat. You've also got some fresh sea breeze in there. You've got some lemons. You've got a little bit of orange peel. It's a little tougher to find around in Ontario right now, but it is definitely something that, if you can find it and you give it to your dad for Father's Day, they're going to be very, very happy with it. My recommendation for the peated Scotch fan, peat-loving dad, is going to be the Ardbeg 10-year-old single malt Scotch whiskey. All right, guys, on to category number 4, and that's going to be for the sherry-loving Scotch dad in your life. I've got another 2 Scotches to recommend here. I'm just going to have a little drink here from my dram. Again, this category is not going to include the mystery dram. You're going to have to wait a little bit longer to find out what it is, but I'm really enjoying it. Yeah. So what do you get for the sherry-loving dad in your life? Well, like I said, I got 2 recommendations. I would say 2 classics. One's definitely a classic that most people would know about. The other one is a little bit hit and miss, I would say, for people as far as recommendation-wise. But, I got to go with my gut, and my gut is telling me what are 2 sherry Scotches that I would recommend for gifts for Father's Day this year. And I got to go with number 1's going to be the Bunnahabhain 12-year-old single malt Scotch whiskey, an unpeated offering from Bunnahabhain in Islay. And the second is going to be the Glenfarclas 105 cast strength. I know it's kind of a different area for both here, but bear with me. Let me go through it. So starting off with the Bunnahabhain 12-year-old, comes in at 108 bucks at the LCBO, an ABV of 46.3%, non-chill filtered, no color added. It's heavy sherry influence, unpeated Islay single malt Scotch. It's an absolute classic. It heavily features those classic sherry notes, even though there is some bourbon in it there, but mainly it focuses on those heavy sherry notes of dark fruit, dates, cherries, raisins. And then you also get that coastal note from Islay, and really gets on your lips and such. So, you can't go wrong with that for sure. The second one I'm gonna recommend is a kind of a new favorite of mine, and really replacing the Glenfarclas 12 is kind of my go-to, and really just because of the control you can have over it, is the Glenfarclas 105. So the Glenfarclas 105, it's a cast strength offer from Glenfarclas, non-chill filtered, no color added. Comes in at 128 bucks in Ontario if you can find it. It's a little tougher to find, but it still is out there in the wild. And yeah, it's 100% ex-sherry matured from Glenfarclas. It's not for the beginners, but with a little bit of tinkering, and I've been trying different things that adding more water, being a little bit resistant with water, and I am really liking this drink. I know that a lot of people said it can be hit and miss depending on the batch. This particular batch, I can assure you, is very, very good. To me, this is like getting Christmas in a glass. You've got those Christmas cake spices, toffee, you've got Christmas spices, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, and then you've got those really light caramel, honey notes as well in there, but it's full flavored. And again, you can keep it as strong as you want, or you can dial it back. And at $128 for a cast strength offering from Glenfarclas, that you can add water to and kind of stretch and make the bottle a little bit bigger and last a little bit longer, I think it's definitely worth the adventure. So yeah, for the sherry loving dad in your life there, I don't think you're going to go wrong with either one of these offerings. So my recommendation for the sherry loving Scotch dad in your life is going to be the Bunnahabhain 12-year-old or the Glenfarclas 105. Well, guys, and now we're on to category number 5, which is going to be the whiskey on a budget category. This is something that I would be happy giving anybody. I bet you if you gave this to somebody and didn't tell them how much it actually cost, they wouldn't even know. And even when you do tell them how much it costs, they're probably not going to believe you because it's so full flavored. And it's a great little dram. And I'm just gonna, before I reveal it here, it comes in at 46.3% ABV, non-chill filtered, no color added, at a price tag of $60 in Ontario. If you haven't already guessed what this is, and I mean, if you're out there as a budget hunter like I am sometimes, you're already going to know what this is. And it's also my mystery pour. And that is going to be the Deanston Virgin Oak coming in from the Deanston Distillery. And, it's a great product. I've yet to try anything Deanston I'm not a fan of. I picked this up, honestly, just because it was so cheap. It was literally, I think it was like $58 on sale one time. Picked it up and I'm like, you know what? I'll try it. It's a good brand. It comes from the same guys, it's owned by the same company that owns Bunnahabhain and Tobermory, so how bad could it be? But, I was really surprised about this, almost to the point where it's become very much a regular sipping dram, especially now with the warmer weather coming, because it is, it's great, well-rounded malt. It's a great product, matured in ex-bourbon, finished in virgin oak casks, so you get those really heavy green apple notes, vanilla, oak, loads and loads and loads of spice from those new virgin oak casks. And even at $60, it hits way above its weight class. I mean, this is a craft product, and it's delicious, and just very, very, very full flavored. And honestly, you to go with this at $60, if you're looking to shoot a little bit lower, you might want to stick with the Glenmorangie 10-year-old or the Aberlour 12. But even there, you're dialing it back and you're paying more money for this. I would highly recommend this. To the bourbon fans too, I mean, it's got those heavy bourbon influences, so you got that covered too. So if someone's entering from Scotch into bourbon, or from bourbon into Scotch, this is a great path to take as well. And I've got a review of this coming up, and I know it's a very good Scotch, so I don't want to give it all away. But yeah, best bang for your buck. It's way above its weight class, and for the budget wise person buying for your father this Father's Day, you're not going to miss the mark with the Deanston Virgin Oak. All right, guys, we made it to the 6th category. So if you're still around, thank you very much for hanging around until the 6th category here. Love making these videos for you. I put lots of time and effort into them, so appreciate you hanging around till the end to see what my recommendation for the experienced enthusiast is. I've tried a lot of different whiskeys this year. I've tried a ton of different cask strength whiskeys this year, and different expressions and finishes and all that kind of stuff. I talk about presentation, I talk about transparency, I talk about all these things. So if you've got a father who's really into whiskey, really likes to understand the process and go through things and kind of nerd out on it too, this is one that I have only had for probably about, I don't know, a month or so. I've gone through it. I've recommended it to friends. I've let friends try it, and I mean, everybody I've let get a grip on this bottle and have a little bit of the liquid inside of it has been floored by it. And again, it's a cask strength. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's a cask strength whiskey, and comes from a distillery that I've toted highly on the channel. But not a lot of people. I shouldn't say that. Not a lot of people really go to this distillery or have tried this distillery, but the guys who are really into it, the folks that are really into craft whiskey, are all about these guys. So my recommendation for the experienced enthusiast is going to be the Ardnamurchan American 80 cask strength single malt Scotch whiskey. Matt from Whisky on the West Coast recommended this last year too, and I found this on my trip to Quebec City, and I'm glad I did. It's such a great thing. So at 100, I got this at the SAQ in Quebec. I don't think you can get it in Ontario actually, but it came in at $107 for a 58, 59, 58.3% offering from the Ardnamurchan American Distillery. It's a wicked cask strength expression. It's true craft distillery at Ardnamurchan. primarily comprised of distillate from peated barley, and the offering from Island American highlights leather, light ash that goes into some cooked apples, honey, citrus, and just showcases the distillery, in my opinion, from where it could go. And I mean, I'm super excited to try anything that these guys produce in the future, especially with an age statement or sherry cask finish or whatnot. So yeah, this is definitely my recommendation for the whiskey loving enthusiast dad for Father's Day. At $107, they're going to be happy with it. It's not going to break the bank. And man, how cool and how great are you going to look when you flip it around and tell your dad to scan the old QR code on the back and check out the fermentation process and how long it was distilled and who put the liquid in the bottle, what the cask breakdown was. If your dad likes to nerd out on stuff like that, this is definitely the bottle for them. So my recommendation for the experienced whiskey enthusiast dad for this Father's Day is going to be the Island American 80 cask strength. Well, guys, that about wraps it up here for me. So thanks for sticking around to the end. If you like what we're doing here at Seaway Whiskey Wire, like and subscribe down below. And don't forget to check me out on my Instagram account at Seaway Whiskey Wire. And thank you so much for hanging around again. I love bringing these videos to you. I hope you guys have a wicked Father's Day. I hope you're treating your father to something on this list. I'm definitely going to consider something at least to be shared with Papa Seaway. He's not really into the single malt stuff like I am, but doesn't mean it excludes him at all. So, Slanja, to your health. Take care. Have a wonderful Father's Day, and I'll see you around. Bye for now.